Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm just hoping that we are where we're supposed to be. Tech life is always a thing, but tonight we're going to do a beautiful thing. I mean, can we talk self-care? It is a well-known word, yet for some reason we struggle to really prioritize the concept of caring for ourselves. I know y'all know it, but the question is, do you do it? And if you're not, I want you to understand that you are the most important person in the room. And it's really not a badge of honor to keep pushing to the point that the wheels fall off, right? Today is your reminder to check in on how well you are creating intentional time to take care of yourself. Because when we don't, things happen, things go wrong, right? Relationships are strained, dreams are abandoned, work and productivity goes out the window. Folks may be present, but we're absent. And we really have to ask ourselves, is it worth it, right? I really think that we can have both. We just have to learn how to balance it. But we're going to talk about it today. My name is Amanda Fludd, and I am a licensed psychotherapist and wellness consultant in this area. And I can tell you that we're not doing a good job of balancing it. And I see it just in terms of how we're showing up every day, the levels of anxiety, burnout, overwhelm, all of that stuff. But today we're going to talk a little bit about how we can do something different about that. I want you to wrap your minds around some creative ways to approach self-care. And if anything, creative ways to heal, because I do think self-care is our path to healing. When we talk about healing our bodies, healing our minds, healing even just like our goals and reconnecting back to that again. But before I even get there, I would love to hear from you guys. So wherever you're listening, if you could drop in the chat for us, what was the last thing that you did for yourself that you would consider self-care? Drop that in the chat for us. And while you do, I'm going to bring up our amazing guest speaker today because I can't do this by myself. So helping me dismantle this thing and put it back together again in unexpected ways is Reiki Master, Intuitive Consultant, and Coach, Miss Avalaura Gaither. So let me get her up here. I feel like I need the drum roll. Da, 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 da. Hello,
good job, good job, good job. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so good to have you. So good to see you. Such a pleasure. And we're going to get right in. I just so appreciate your time. So, can you touch on this connection of self-care, right? The self in self-care.
The self and self-care. How about that? You said it, right? Like, it's become this popular catchphrase, right, within the last few years or so, right, where mental health as well now has become, certainly much more prominent. And so everybody knows the word self-care, yet people don't really know what self-care is, and they're still not practicing it effectively. So there's that disconnect. It's cool to talk about it, but it's still not being practiced effectively for women. And what I have found is that it's really important to reframe like how we think about self-care, our understanding of self-care, because if we don't really truly understand it, if it's just kind of like that buzzword, we're never really going to use it effectively for our lives, for ourselves. Because like you said, the first word in self-care is self, right? So it is all about you. So there's no model for it, right? Like you can't practice self-care the way that I practice self-care. You can't practice self-care the way Amanda does it. You have to do it for you. And so I think that's a big part of the issue is that we don't know how to practice self-care effectively for ourselves.
I like that. And it almost there's this flavor of like you've got to like claim it for you too, right? So go out there and claim what's yours. And part of that is everything that belongs to you itself. The self belongs to you. So you've got to think about, okay, what works for me, my energy, what flows for me, what do I really respond to? Because what one person responds to might not be it for you, right? And
exactly.
Very individualized in that way.
So you got to do some self-work. That's what it comes down to, some self-reflection. That's the only way that you're really going to be able to do it effectively.
Yes, but you see, now you said work. People don't like to work on themselves, right? So
that word. That's the other 4-letter word. We don't want that. No.
Right. As soon as it starts getting hard, we kind of back out from the space, right? So, and that's part, maybe that's even part of the problem. Maybe we start to get there, like, we start going back to the gym, everybody get excited come January, beginning of the year, and then like, it goes up and then we tank back down.
Yeah. And that's part of the mindset shift, because it doesn't have to be work. And if you really get it and you get into that routine and you create a self-care plan that works for you, then it's not work, because it's working for you versus you feeling like you're having to put forth all this effort to do it. Because ultimately, when you're practicing self-care, you're going to feel better. You're going to have the energy and the reserves and everything that you need for your goals, for your family, for yourself, for your career, your business, whatever you're working on. And so ultimately, your self-care becomes the most essential thing, because that's what's going to give you the energy to be able to do everything else.
Yeah, so there's no loss or sacrifice to
Nothing. It's all investment in you.
Yeah.
If you believe you're worth it.
That's another question. Do you believe that y'all are worth it? If you believe that you're worth it, put I'm worth it in the chat, honey. Right? And you may have to just remind yourself, and you may also have to step back after this conversation and really assess: am I moving in alignment with that and demonstrating my worth? Right. And there's probably some really practical things that you should be doing if you are worth it. Right. And I'll throw a few out there, and then you could throw some out there too. But whether that is things like leaving on time. I remember when I worked for my lovely state gig, like it was hard for me to leave on time. And I used to be so mad watching everybody else like pack up to go. At 4:30, they were packed up at like 4. So by 4:30, they could roll out the door, right? I'm like, well, here I am still chasing after clients and doing all these things. And so it's little things like that. Like, what makes us feel that we have to do the extra, go the extra, and all the time? I'm saying, sometimes fine, that's what you got to do. But little things like that. Am I stopping when I need to? Am I using the bathroom during the day?
I just talked about that. Yep. Understanding those little things, like really listening to your body and not depriving yourself of the things that you clearly need, waiting for something. Oh, I have to wait for this break. I have to wait for so-and-so to get here, whatever it is. No, if you have to use the bathroom, use the bathroom. If you need some water, go get some water. Those really basic things. And I just talked about that. People are like, oh, I never thought about that. Right. Because it's ingrained in us. And that's why so much of self-care, I have found, it's really a mental shift, and it's also about self-love. It's not even about self-care. And that's why we don't practice it effectively, because we keep talking about self-care, but that ain't it. What I've really found is that one thing for certain is that one of the problems is that when we need self-care the most, we practice it the least. Right. So when we get burnt out, right, when we are stressed, when we feel overwhelmed, even when we're like ultra successful, right, we're not practicing self-care. We are too into whatever it is that we're going through. And so on the flip side of, burnout or, feeling depressed or all of these things, we'll stay locked into and stay stuck in how we're feeling. On the flip side of success, we're so busy celebrating that, again, we're still not really properly taking care of ourselves. We're on that high. So it's kind of like we're either in this low or we're in this high. We don't find that balance in between. So when we really need self-care, we're not practicing it. And the only way that you can do that is if you have an established self-care routine and you don't wait to need self-care to practice it, because you always need it every single day.
Every day. Yeah. And we won't recognize that until something happens. And that's why I find this so valuable, because we shouldn't be waiting until the end, right? And I love us and the work that we do, because we've decided to be really proactive about that, where it's making sure that you get the skills and tools that you need so you don't end up at the end of the road, whether that's sick in a hospital bed or like, now you got to come sit in the office with us for therapy. Like, no, you can practice this sooner and get it in your system. Maybe you didn't see it growing up. Maybe it wasn't modeled for you. That's why I said after this conversation, you really got to go self-assess. Like, who did I learn how to take
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have an assessment because we do need that. Like sometimes we need to clearly visually see it like, oh, wow, you know what? I could do this better. Or I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that. I didn't even know that was self-care. I get that a lot. I didn't even know that. Like, self-care is not, we talk about it's not just about bubble baths and getting the mani-pedi and things like
Uh,
that. It's
that's
it's
cute.
these
It's cute. It's
everyday
cool.
tangible things, right? Like, self-care doesn't have to cost money. Like self-care are really simple things. And I think when you understand, like you said, that it's about being proactive and having a system in place, brushing your teeth is self-care. You're not going to go a day without brushing your teeth, right?
We
You're
hope.
not going to go a day without taking a shower, I hope, right? Like, these are self-care. The difference is being very intentional about it, right? Being very intentional. Like, so for me, I take my showers in the morning. It helps me to wake up, where I know other people, they take it at night. It helps them to relax.
Yeah, the best.
So that becomes knowing yourself, right? And knowing how that works for you. So now it's intentional self-care for you because you know how to best utilize that tool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I love it. And I'm not even gonna shift into like what are the repercussions and what are the impacts of stress because y'all
I
know,
mean, I can tell you,
you know
but
what I'm
yeah.
saying? But like, we know when we don't feel right, and we know when things are just crazy and overwhelmed, right? So,
Mhm.
what I'll look at instead is really what we came for today. It's like this good stuff, y'all. Get pen and paper ready. What are some creative ways that we can really heal? And whether
Mhm.
it's healing our understanding of how we care for ourselves or actually healing our
Mhm.
bodies, what are some creative ways that we can approach that to really dismantle this thing called stress?
Yeah. So let me say this without going into too much detail about stress. Just understanding that women, we experience stress, 2 times more than men. So wherever men are stressed, we're stressed more. So just know that.
Times six.
We carry that burden. We carry that cape. We carry that. So that's important to notice.
Yeah.
And the thing about self-care, and this is the thing that I teach, that it's so basic and it's so simple, yet nobody thinks about it. The
Mm,
thing about the relationship between self-care and stress is that your self-care level should match the level of your stress. Your self-care level should match the level of your stress. So
speak a
what
word.
does that mean? Our stress levels change, right? We have different moments in our life where we're more stressed out than others. At some point in your life, your stress level might be at a 5. At other points, it might be at a 10. If your stress level is at a 5, which might be normal for you because some of us have pretty high stress levels, right? You should have a self-care routine for that. That might be, your mani pedi. That might be I'll go out, once in a while, with my friends, go to brunch, get some mimosas, whatever, right? That might be have date night with hubby, right? Have family time, whatever that is. But if your stress level is at a 10, those same things that you're doing at a 5 is not gonna work.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
let's say you got a divorce, you're going through a divorce, a separation, you lost your
Uh-huh.
job, right?
Manny Petty ain't gonna do it. I can't
That ain't
that
gonna do it. The mani pedi ain't gonna do it. That's when you say, okay, I need to call Avalaura. I need a life coach. I need some
right.
Reiki. I need therapy. I
Let's
need
step
a
up.
larger intervention because
Yeah,
that level 5 self-care is not gonna do it.
not today.
Not today.
Right,
So
right.
we never think about that. We kind of think it has to be the same. And so you have to be flexible with your self care. You have to pivot when you need to. Like when you're recognizing you're more stressed out than normal, now what are you going to do when you're really stressed out? And you can plan these things. You can have your everyday self care. Like I teach women how to create self care plans. You can have your everyday self care, and then you can have your self care for like when you get really stressed out, what that looks like. And when you need to pivot and change that, then you change it. You don't stay locked in. You don't feel like, oh my God, I have to leave it this way because this was the plan that I created. Because again, self care is about you, self. So you do what you need to do. If that's not working, then let's switch it, let's rearrange it and find something else that works for you. But I
Mhm.
want to say something else too about self care. And this is what I recognize, especially for women. is that self-care really is self-love in action.
Mm.
So your self-care really is a direct reflection of how much you love yourself. And here's why I say that. Any women with kids in the audience, and I can't see the comments, but any women with kids in the audience, any women with pets,
We know
right?
what's it. And any pet mamas.
The fur babies, right? So I want you to think about this. If your child is hungry, would you not feed your child? If your child has to go to the bathroom, would you not take them to the bathroom? If your fur baby wants to go out for a walk, would you just leave them in the house and not walk them?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't do that because you love them. And so you take care of the things that you love.
Absolutely.
So your self-care really is self-love in action. That is how you show yourself that you love yourself, by how much you really take care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, what a word. And I think we have to think about that, right? What are the actions that we're taking for ourselves and bringing it back to self, because we're so good at extending that to others, even extending it to our pets. Right? But what about you? And how do you even give? Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So how are you giving and you're not restoring? Right. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so on point. And I love that. Like, have the plan. My mind went to like the like break in case of emergency. Like you have your everyday stuff.
Absolutely.
When it goes down, it goes down, but know what it is and know where it is.
Right. That's right. That's right. And I teach women like how to create a plan, and that has daily, weekly, and monthly activities for your self-care.
Right.
You're constantly feeding yourself. You're not waiting. Every single day you're doing something for your self-care.
Yes, every single day, whether it's little or whether it's big. And I like that point too, because sometimes we feel like because I can't do the thing, I can't go on vacation, or I don't have time to sit at the hair salon for hours, that I can't do it.
Which to me is not self-care. I don't like getting my hair done.
Oh, I do, because it's like a whole conversation. She'd be cracking me up, right? My hair feel all refreshed. So
they bring me. I used to go to people. I had to stop going to this woman because I felt like she wanted me to counsel her for free, and I'm like, I thought you were supposed to do that when I get here. Why are you asking me for advice? Yeah, I do not like getting my hair done. That is not self-care. That is a duty.
It's very unique to everybody.
That's it. That's me, right? So that's the difference. That's what you have to know, these things about yourself.
Yes, yeah. And that's a good walk away, takeaway place for you guys. I think what are your everyday and what's like my in case of emergency, and even the emergencies you want to practice, like how we practice for fire drills, we want to practice. I don't think we want to wait until our systems aren't doing well, and whether that's us as individuals, whether that's us as collective communities and collective groups, organizations, we don't want to wait until our people are falling apart and stressed and not doing the things that they're supposed to do. Bring in the help sooner, right? Help people get to that plan, develop that plan, know what it is, and get there. Okay? All right, so I've got some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Let's bring it.
Ready. Okay. All right, so let's see. What's your favorite way to de-stress?
I mean, I don't have one favorite way to de-stress, but I love Reiki. I adore Reiki, and I love sisterhood. I love time with my sisters, laughing, kiki, haha. Yes.
There's healing in that.
It's very healing, and it's letting you know, you're like, I'm not alone. Like, other people are going through some of these same things. And especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're isolated a lot of times, right? It's just you and your clients or whatever you're doing, and you work from home. It's good to surround yourself with people who you really love. Like, community is healing.
Yeah, you hear things sometimes, you're like, ooh, child, that's worse than me, so I might be all right. Like, oh, girl, I'm gonna pray for you. Right. All right. Healing. What does healing mean to you?
Healing simply means, I mean, this whole conversation that we're talking about, right? It's really just taking care of me, loving up on me. And there's so many things that are healing that we don't think about. Like, everything that we can consume in one way, shape, or form can be healing. You know, water is healing. food is healing. The right foods is healing. Sunshine is healing, right? And so it's just being very intentional in my life and giving myself the things that I need and walking in my purpose and in my passion. That is healing.
Okay. One thing that you would keep that is in your purse right now, and one thing you would give away or force to.
Did you say one thing?
One thing.
Like I can only keep one thing?
You're gonna keep one thing in your purse.
I mean, but I'm gonna keep my wallet with my money and everything. I mean,
we're gonna keep that.
I can buy it again.
Come through a
I can get the lipstick, the lip balm, whatever else. I can get all that stuff again. One thing if I had to, I'm like thinking, what's in my wallet? I'll give away the mirror. What I need that for?
I love it. You already know what you look like.
I know what I look like.
I'm good. Like I'm confident in me. I don't need to see me. Y'all need to see me.
Unlike my 17-year-old who passes by and has to look in every mirror she sees.
All the time.
Every single mirror she passed by, she got to look at.
It's exactly the same 2 seconds ago. Yes. I love it. Listen, I am thankful that you are here, and it's great that we got to see you and spend some time with you.
Thank you.
Can you tell folks where can they find you if they want to connect, they want to work on a personal plan, they just need some mind, body, Reiki, intuitive connection? Where can they find you?
Yes, I'm all over, and I'm outside this year, so I've committed to doing more live events. You can find me at avalaura.com, AVALAURA. You can get my new self-love journal, Girl, Go Get Your Effing Life. We have a brunch this Sunday here in Maryland, in Odenton, Maryland, and then I have a Reiki retreat coming up in November, and I'm speaking out all throughout the DMV area this summer and fall. So you can catch me, but everything is on avalaura.com. That's my hub. I'm Googleicious. You can find me all over social media.
Googleicious. I love it. In Maryland, y'all better take advantage. All of y'all are driving.
Take advantage. I'm out here this summer. This is the first summer that I'm doing live events since COVID.
I love it. It makes sense. This feels like a good year to like get back to us, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you need, go find it. We hope you guys found some really great gems in this conversation. And feel free to stop back and let us know, like, this is what I decided to do. And when I looked at me, honey, this is what I realized that was going on, good or bad. There's no judgment about it, right? But we can't grow if we don't look at ourselves. So Thank you so much for offering this conversation. What's like one word sitting on your heart that we'll walk away with?
One word that I absolutely love right now and I adore is alignment. You know, I just love that when you're very intentional and you want to manifest things and things just start shifting and happening around you. I'm like, yep, I'm in alignment. That's it. I didn't even know that was there, but that's the direction I was going in. That's what I was thinking. That was in my heart. And bam, here it's showing up in my life.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And that's a sure way of knowing that you're practicing good self-care. When you're in alignment, you know you're practicing good self-care.
Yeah, the pieces come together with ease, right?
Yes.
Everything around you, you feel grounded and at ease. So we'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with grounded. I think we all deserve that, and we've got to find the ways to connect so we can do that. But a pleasure, everyone. Thank you for hanging on this conversation, and we'll see you guys soon.
Ladies.